to a brand new Knights and Dragons video. Today, guys, I'm going to be doing some farming in the background, and obviously we're going to talk about whether or not the new ShadowForge armors will in fact ruin the game. So, suspense pending while I tell you a couple of quick things. Of course, guys, if you want to play Knights and Dragons, it can be found in the link below. You can play alongside me. You can even add me to your friends list. My friend code is down there. So this is what I'm going to be doing in the background. I'm just going to farm in the super speed mode in order to get some beans. And I've got some notes here for the ShadowForge. I'll be editing some pictures over the top to show you guys where my information is coming from. So if you have any doubts, or if you actually like to watch the pretty pictures, the pretty pictures will be there for you. So yeah, guys, let's start off with what I actually think. I will give you the answer to the question right now, and then if you need convincing, I'll explain it to you in the background afterwards, I mean. So, do I think that ShadowForge armors ruin Knights and Dragons? Do I think they're too strong? Do I think it is the end of an era? Is it time for everybody to quit, play other games because this game is dead? No. No, I do not think that. I think that people are very worried that the ShadowForge will be just like a DragonForge. Obviously, if the DragonForge was released right now, and it was as strong as a ShadowForge, but it was as easy to get as a DragonForge, then we would have a problem. It would be way too easy for everybody to get the new armors. How many people have you seen with the ShadowForge? I've seen 3. Personally, I've seen 3. One guy in the arena, one guy in a guild that I used to be in, or he was in a family guild that I used to be in. And I've seen a third one that was just shared around on the line chats, and that's it. That is it for me. One of those guys had 2 ShadowForge, 2 of the fire ones, the regular M+ version. But besides that, that is all I have seen, which is a good thing. The fact that everyone ever doesn't have these armors is a really, really good thing, because it means that they're few and far between. So let's look at how to get them first of all. So we had the war. It was a war, it wasn't a raid, so we don't even know if they're in raids yet. So we had the war. Let's say they're in events. Let's assume that there's going to be one in the raid, the air one will be obtainable through raids, and the fire one will be obtainable through wars. Let's make that assumption together. So, if you got max milestones, which is roughly 1,600 gems, 1,600 gems, that gave you 1. So you need to do that 11 more times in order to get it. Most people spending 1,600 gems are also going top 10, so they're getting another one of the shards as well. So they've got 2, meaning they're going to have to do it 6 times in total in order to get all the pieces they want. Fine and dandy, 6 times 1,600 gems. Okay? Just, yeah, indulge yourselves in that. It's a big number. And, of course, if you go top 3, you get 5 of the crafting materials, along with the one that you would get for getting this top milestone. So you get 6, which means you go top 10 twice. You go top 3 twice, sorry. And you've got yourself the crafting materials to make a ShadowForge. Does that make you OP? Does that make it too easy? No, it does not. What does it currently cost to go top 3? I think it's 3,000 gems for a war. Roughly 2,000 to 2,500 for a raid. Sometimes more. It depends how competitive it is that week. But, you know, if you're spending 6,000 gems over a 3-week period, because there's a raid in between, so say you're spending 6,000 gems over 2 wars, you're getting a good DragonForge, yeah, you're actually getting 2 DragonForges, 4 in total, 2 per week, but that's still a lot of money. That's a lot of gems. I think of the ShadowForge as an additional reward to people who spend silly amounts of money on this game. Like, it is ridiculous how much some people spend on this game. Giving them an extra armor, sure, it makes them strong, but they were already really strong. Like, I'm not fussed that it's even harder for me to beat them when I couldn't beat them in the first place, if you know what I mean. So it's an additional reward to people who already spend a lot of money on the game. If you want to go top 10 6 times, is it? Yeah, if you want to go top 10 6 times, that's very expensive in itself. That's more expensive than, wait, yeah, that's more expensive than going top 3 twice. So if you want to do it, and obviously you have to do it every week in a row, or every war in a row. If you miss any of them, if you take a break to save money and then go back to it, you're going to get a different crafting material. So they're very expensive if you do them through wars. Raids, not so much. I think if they are actually in raids, raids will be very cheap, but we'll talk about that in a minute. If you are doing wars to get these armors, I think you deserve them. I don't think it's overpowered at all. I think it is ridiculously expensive to get one, regardless of what method you choose. So let's examine now. We've decided that wars are silly expensive, and adding it as an extra reward is totally fine. Wars are silly expensive. They're ridiculous. If you want to do, 6 or 2 of them, that's very expensive. Let's go with raids. I currently do 15 million every raid, even if I'm going top 10 or not. So I would have to do 12 raids, just 12 raids. That's what I would normally do. I would usually just do 15 million every raid. That's the max milestone, get the crafting material. I doubt that the crafting material will be there for 12 weeks in a row, though. So I'm assuming that I will have to go top 10 and get max milestones in the raid, every raid from here on out, until we run out. Until they change to a new ShadowForge armor. So that doesn't sound too bad. Raids aren't that expensive, but if you have to go top 10 as well, like, it's not expensive to get 15 mil. Yeah, 15 million points, that's nothing. It's a couple of hundred gems. But if it's gonna have to be top 10 on top of that every week, most raids you are paying more. Getting to 15 mil in a raid is nothing. Usually you're doing about 40 million points anyway. So double that and then an extra 10 mil. So you're using, 800 to 1200 gems. So it becomes really expensive again. To do that 6 times, that's going to be, 8,000? 8,000, yeah, 8,000 gems, I think. I'm not going to do that math properly. But that's still a lot of gems. And you have to do it all in succession. You cannot take a break to save your money, because once they change the crafting material, you're done for. You will never be able to get it again. So it is really expensive. It is super expensive in order to get a ShadowForge. I think the people spending that much money do actually deserve it. I don't think it affects the game that much. So let's talk about the last little part. The part that affects most players, and that is the chests. If you aren't the kind of player who goes top 10, so you'll never be able to get a ShadowForge, what about the chests? If they add those chests every weekend, I actually think that some lucky people will get a ShadowForge cheaper than anybody else. And if you don't go top 10 ever, if you're not a pushing kind of guy and you just open chests, you were going to open chests anyway. So think of the ShadowForge as an additional reward on top of the rewards you're already trying to get while opening chests. Boom. Too easy. Chests are done. You're convinced. I know it. ShadowForges aren't going to kill the game. They're actually quite a good thing. Think of them as a bonus reward you get on top for spending money anyway that you were already going to spend to try and get your regular Dragon Forges. That's all I have to say. That's how I wish to convince you guys. And if you need a little bit more convincing, look back at your screen right now. Something really cool that can happen in the ShadowForge chest, which actually just happened to me, is I opened 800 gems worth and got nothing, just so we're all clear here. This one here, the Gilded Scale Gear. You ever heard of that? Ever heard of it? Have you ever heard of the Gilded Scale Gear, guys? Whoops, what am I doing? I got on my knights. Have you ever seen it before? Of course you haven't, because the Gilded Scale Gear is an epic boss armor that hasn't been released yet. This is epic boss armor that exists in the game. It'll be one of the epic bosses this month. I've already got it because of the ShadowForge chest, which is weird. It kind of looks cool though, but I can get 2+ versions of that if I want. How weird is that? It is very weird, actually. It's quite bizarre. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. I just wanted to tell you why I think that there is no reason to panic about ShadowForges. I think if you're already someone who opens chests or pushes top 10, you will just eventually have a ShadowForge. If you're the kind of person who opens chests, I will give you this little bit of advice. Wait until the weekend and open the ShadowForge chest. If it has a guaranteed epic tier every week like it did this week, you can get some really good things. I got a Gunslinger's Plus. That's an awesome armor to have. It's really good. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think about the ShadowForge in the description below. And of course, if you agree with this video, please like and share it with all of your little friends. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.